On AITA for telling my aunt she's fat. It's Catholic Easter. Happy Easter to everyone who's celebrating, except my aunt. My immediate family was sitting at the big table, enjoying their meal. I was sitting on the couch, though, for a few main reasons. I hate eating in front of people. Everyone knows I'm the big one in the family, and my aunt was there. She's somewhere in her 60s while I'm over 10, but under 16, not comfortable specifying. You'd think she'd have enough common sense not to gossip all the time, but no. She was talking to my other aunt, who is, at least in my eyes, was more polite. And then I heard it. You know, my name should really go on a diet. I knew it was about me. Who else would it be about? Even if she didn't say my name, it would be obvious. My nice aunt spoke up for me, but it fell to deaf ears. And then I said something. That's rich coming from you? My father was furious and took me outside just to yell at me, and now I'm wondering if I should not have said that. 2. AITA, what would you do? I'm a 44F and been in a 10-month relationship with a 42M and moved in with him very soon after we started dating. I've known him for years. He refuses to introduce me to his 14-year-old daughter who lives with her mother. I've been okay with not meeting her until here recently when he tells me that she wants to come stay with him during the summer. So I asked him if she was to come stay for the summer. What exactly am I supposed to do since we haven't met? He expected me to move out and come back once summer is over. Yes, I do have my own home, because him and his ex have an agreement that they won't bring anyone around her until she is 18. Yes, 18! Am I crazy for moving out now and telling him that I'm not coming back and calling the relationship off? Edited to add that she has never stayed with him before because his AC and heat doesn't work, so I never thought there would be an issue. He also says it isn't me, that it's that he has to protect her and doesn't want her around another guy, and to be fair to her mom, he doesn't want me to meet her. I can totally understand protecting her, but first off, she's not 5 or 6, so she understands that he's dating someone, and second, to not want me to meet her until she's 18 is just crazy to me. I could understand if we had only been dating for a couple of months, but it's close to a year, and we've known each other for several years. I personally would approach her mom if I were him and say, hey, I know we had an agreement, but I also know that, I'm seeing someone and so does our daughter. I also know that you both know she lives with me. No, I don't want her around someone that you or I have only been dating for a few months, but I think that you should be able to make a judgment call as to whether you introduce her to someone you're dating as long as you think it's a serious relationship. So if she comes to stay with me, just know that my girlfriend is going to be there. But he's made it very clear that he's not going to do that. I've already moved my stuff out of his house, just trying to see if I'm wrong for feeling the way I feel. 3. ATA for not wanting to pay for my dog's daycare. My partner, M35, and I, F35, have a 1YO dog. He wanted this dog. He was talking about wanting to get it for a long while, and I never supported the idea. I said he would have to do everything, and I wouldn't lift a finger. I love all animals, but I know I don't want to do the things that you have to do when you have a dog. At some point, he gets serious, I agree. We get a dog. The apple of his eye, his baby. When he's home, I might as well be a fart in the wind to this animal. I don't care. I'm only out of bed in the dark instead of sleeping because I have to take him out to poop in the pissy cold rain. I truly do not want a dog, but I do everything for this creature because he's here and he can't do anything for himself. At this time, I was fresh out of getting my degree and jobless, so I was home with it all the time. After 2 months, I get a job with flexible hours so we can have someone home with the then puppy at all times. It pays shit, and eventually I get let go because the manager can't train me properly because I have such restrictive hours. I'm home for a few months, living off of my savings. Meanwhile, quite a bit of time goes by. This was my choice. I start looking for a job again. I get a full-time job in my major that pays well. Great company, but the free daycare is over. The dog is now a year old. So we try leaving him alone. He does not like that. We're getting messages from all the neighbors, so we have to do something about it. I tried early on to get this man to practice anxiety training at a young age, where you leave and come back. He never takes it seriously. Probably because he has a live and doggy daycare, and that train is gonna ride on forever, right? I think the training took anyway, cause he's not really anxious alone. He just gets bored, so he demand barks. IMO, if we leave it for long enough, he'll realize demand barking does nothing and go to sleep. But people are throwing around terms like animal abuse and separation anxiety, with not so much as a Google search of "you ask me," but I feel like I'm starting a flame war in the comments already, so ignore this part. Under the pressure of criticism, he decides to give the dog away. I say we haven't even exhausted all the options before we decide to do that. We're left with the options to get a sitter or medicate. I look around and sitters are hard to come by, and they cost about the same amount as his smoking habit. I show him a daycare, and I've been saying I expect him to pay for it. He says he expects us to share the cost. Mind you, I still don't want a dog. I feel a strong responsibility towards it since we've been raising it for almost a year, but if it goes, I'm getting a cat the next day. I just feel I have to fight for it because its innocent dumb face doesn't know what's going on or that it's about to be betrayed by us. But my partner's behavior is upsetting me, and I feel that if I pay for half of this daycare while he's still smoking, I'm breeding a monster. AITA. 4. AITA for texting people at night when they could be sleeping. I have a recurring issue with some family members whereby I will be up late into the night and may send a text at a time they could be sleeping. If this occurs, I get a nasty response from the family member that they were sleeping. I can understand their position, but from my end, someone else's phone ringer settings are not my problem. I feel that if you don't wish to receive text alerts at night, you should silence your phone. It's not up to everyone in your contacts to predict when you might be sleeping. Kind of like sending an email where you send it at your convenience and the person responds at their convenience. AITA. 5. AITA for taking the expensive stuff of our deceased neighbor. Our neighbor just died a few weeks ago, and as her family didn't want to keep anything from her much, or had time to clear out her house, so we were allowed to keep whatever we liked as we clear out her house instead. Now, as we were there, we found a few expensive items. 2 teapots from her earlier deceased husband, and love letters of him to her in it. A small Jesus and Mary ceramic statue and a rosary. Everyone knew those things meant much to her. My aunt, though, did not care. When she saw those things, she immediately wanted to take them with her to simply sell them. As I told her that it would be nicer to find someone who wants to still keep the stuff in her family, she scoffed at me and started talking trash about God, Jesus, and anything Christian related, and the woman herself, because no one would want to keep some Jesus statue. I need the money. The woman is dead. Who cares? Which I found very unfitting, considering we are in a home where a woman just died and that was a firm believer of God, and I personally think even deceased people should be treated with respect. When my aunt treated everything in the house with such little respect, it simply pissed me off, so I decided to simply keep the expensive items to myself. Not to sell them, but simply so the items that woman once cherished so much could now live on in the home of someone who would cherish them as much as she did. And as I am a Christian too, I really am grateful to have those things now. Mostly the rosary, as it is the first I have ever gotten, and it brought me luck in some ways. My aunt, though, is really angry at me for taking them first because she could have made money of it, and she is still talking about it because she could have easily made a few hundreds of it, and she is even trying to get the family involved in the matter and tried to turn them against me over such matter. So AITA for keeping the stuff, or should I just have let her sell those things? 6. AITA for asking my fiancé to return my Easter gift. I, 24F, have a fiancé, 22M, and over time I've noticed a pattern that's been hard for me. He often seems not to notice what I actually like or need, and when I give feedback, he can get defensive or sulk. It makes me feel unseen and frustrated, and I've been struggling with resentment. A recent situation really highlighted this. I love holidays, small traditions, and little gestures such as Easter baskets, candy, and crafts. Last year, I made him a basket. He didn't get me one, which I let slide. This year, I mentioned making baskets for family kids, and he asked if he should get me one. I said yes, but I didn't want him to spend much. Even a simple dollar store basket would have made me happy. For context, I strongly dislike plants and absolutely hate lilies. I don't keep houseplants and have tried before, but always fail. I've told him this multiple times, and it's something all my friends and family know. Lilies in particular upset me because I associate them with funerals. My dad, past partners, and my family all know this about me. It's something I've brought up repeatedly over time, not a hidden preference. When I got home, he surprised me with a potted Easter lily, 1/3 dead, saying he got me something nice since you're a grown adult and don't need an Easter basket. My heart sank. In the moment, I accepted it politely, but later I told him I appreciated the effort and cared that he tried, but the gift didn't feel thoughtful in terms of what would actually make me happy. I just wanted to feel seen and understood. Instead of listening, he sulked and called me ungrateful. He also said he didn't want to get me candy because I want to lose weight, which I've asked him not to comment on. I don't care about the money. I care about feeling known and heard. This is one example of a bigger pattern. I often feel like he doesn't really listen to me, even after I've explained my preferences. I love him and I want to make this work, but I'm struggling with feeling like my feelings don't matter sometimes. AITA for feeling hurt and upset. TLDR, my fiance often misses my preferences and reacts defensively when I give feedback. I've repeatedly told him I hate plants and lilies, but he gave me a potted Easter lily. I feel hurt and unseen. AITA for being upset. Update. Apparently, he asked my mom and brother if this was a good idea, and they agreed, not super close with them, and changed the pot it was in to match the petals. 7. AITA, dog in public advice. I went to an outdoor mall area on the weekend to study with my dog so he at least has a change of environment when I still have work to do. This place has occasional dogs walking by and is a very relaxed space and has people studying, socializing. I took him on a walk with me whenever I took study breaks several times. We were both in the shade at a table, and at some point I tied his leash to my chair so I didn't have to hold the leash while I did my work on my laptop. Tons of people, families, and children walked by and asked to pet him or reacted very positively in passing, asking about his breed, etc. He would alternate between lying down completely and resting, lying upright, or sitting up when another dog passed by. For context, my dog is visibly healthy and has a beautiful coat. Suddenly, 3 people surrounded him, didn't ask me if they could pet him, all leaned down to pet him and started speaking as if they understood his emotions. Someone said his energy is low, he looks so sad. Then the man in the group asked if I wanted him to walk my dog for me because he looks so bored. Then another woman of the 3 said it looks so sad how he's just tied to my chair and lying there, poor thing. They all pet him, one person laughing at how he seemed indifferent to the attention and that he doesn't understand their energy yet. And when he eventually sat up to respond to all this attention, they said, "See now, he looks happier." I found this to be uncalled for and offensive. What is the difference if we were at home and he was napping on the couch while I studied? Or if he was asleep without the leash attached to my chair? We are in a public place, so he has to be on a leash. No. I did not take him to the dog park, but I don't think he was suffering by napping next to me in the shade outdoors as I did some work. I was so uncomfortable after that interaction that I decided to leave, and they immediately showed up to occupy my table. And the best part, I was on the phone when this happened, and I was complaining over the phone, "At least next time you pet someone's dog, maybe effing ask first, And this was when they reappeared to claim my table. My dog was excited that we were leaving or walking, and they had to throw in one last comment. "Now he looks happy. Should I not take him out with me next time? Is it neglectful to let him be bored by my side?" He is a big dog, so I understand that him lying sprawled out on the floor looks worse than if he were a small dog curled up on my lap for several hours. I am a little sad because I was very excited to find a place I can let him be outdoors and observe other people and things and dogs while I worked. The whole thing just felt very righteous and overdramatic, but it's getting to my head. 8. AITA for lying to my family about how much money I have. For context, I'm 19F and grew up in an extremely poor family with my mom, aunt, and grandma. We are a very small family, and although things have moderately improved, everyone is still lower class. I went to uni at 17 and started receiving student loans. My aunt started asking me for loans regularly. While I lived with my mom, I paid around $400 a month for rent and helped out with things like car insurance. I had to move out at 18 due to constant arguing and strains on my mental health, and since then, she has also occasionally been asking for loans. After I moved out, I got a part-time minimum wage job to help with the rent and my car, and while I'm not great at saving, I've been trying to put away small amounts each month with the hopes of saving for a deposit on a house. At one point, my mom confessed to me she had maxed out her credit cards, and I ended up emptying my savings, both helping her and giving my aunt loans of $200+ at a time, some of which I never saw back. After this, I told them I wouldn't be able to help them so much anymore. Except recently, they ended up back in exact same situation. I've replenished a good amount of my saving, but after a long talk with my grandma, who has also been giving them loans, she urged me to keep my savings private. So for the last 6 months, I've still given them smaller amounts, telling them that's all I can afford. Last week, my aunt was helping me with something on my laptop, and I had left open a statement from my savings account. She blew up at me over lying, and when my mom found out, she did the same, saying if I can afford things like my tattoos, the club, and other non-essentials, then I should be able to afford helping my family out. Neither of them have talked to me for over a week, saying that I've turned my back on the family so they can do the same. I feel so guilty, but I'm so tired of helping them out of a situation that they keep returning to. Am I supposed to never enjoy myself because they can't get out of debt? Am I just being selfish here? 9. AITA for not inviting my sister's boyfriend to my wedding. I am having a wedding soon. We made our guest list, and we didn't even think about putting my sister's boyfriend on the guest list. After we sent invitations out, they asked me to invite him. I said maybe, but we have to make sure we'll have enough room so I would know in a month. Before the month was over, I heard my sister say she didn't want my fiancé invited to a family dinner in a very ugly tone. I got upset, but didn't act immediately. I thought for 5 to 10 minutes and went in the room and said that because of her disrespect, I'm not inviting her boyfriend to the wedding because I shouldn't have to grant any of her requests. She apologized, but I don't believe her because she has a history of lying. My family is trying to convince me to change my mind still. I don't believe that I should have to change a single thing about my wedding day for anyone else. AITA? Edit. The wedding's max capacity was 150. Nobody got a +1. They've been dating for almost 2 years, but they were broken up for a while during that and got back together 1 to 2 months ago. My sister is 18. I don't have a negative or positive relationship with her BF. We just don't interact. 10. AITA. Sons. Father wants me to pay for his Easter basket. My son's dad usually has him on weekends, and now he's asking me to pick him up early on Easter because he doesn't have a basket for him. He basically said I can either send him money for one or come get my son so he doesn't go without. I don't want to do either of those things. The thing is, I work on Easter and don't want to miss out on time and a half. Also, our son is 6, and I already plan on making Easter special for him when he gets back Monday. What bothers me is that there are other kids at his house who will have baskets, his roommate's kids, and I feel like it's his responsibility as a parent to figure something out, even something small and cheap. It doesn't sit right with me that the solution is either I pay for it or inconvenience myself. Frankly, I feel like his dad should suffer the consequences. He doesn't have a job, but he still pays for his nicotine beer habit, and I feel like it's his fault that he wasn't responsible, but I also don't want my son to be sad. IDK what to do, grr 11. AITA for wanting to leave a frat party. To start this off, I am 19F, and my friend is also 19F. She goes to a big university and lives away while I stayed in our home state and traveled to where she lives to visit for Fremont. I myself don't get much freedom at home, so to do this is very big and means that my family likes her very much. Strict immigrant family. One of the things I told her that I wanted to do is go to a party of some sort. I've been to a frat before, nothing super new to me. Off rip, she treats the whole thing as a good thing, but the minute I get to her state and go to her school, she starts treating things I personally want to do as a burden, especially the party. Night of the party, we get to this invite-only frat at a diff uni, and they make us wait outside for like 40 minutes. While we're waiting, we meet a group of 4 boys there who also attend the university she does, and we hit it off. I am talking a lot with 2 4 boys, and it seems like we're both having a good time. We see police kind of roll up, so we ended up walking away with the 4 boys and just talking to them. My friend really seems to hit it off with the initial boy we talked to, while I do with another one. We try to get them into the frat with us, but it doesn't work. My friend and I just go in and I let them know that I'm sorry. We head inside, and the lights are all on, music isn't loud at all, and to get a drink, you have to know a brother. I sobered up during our time outside. I decided that I'd rather just go because it was lame, and we could just drink at my friend's place. So I ask my friend if we can go. She says, wants a drink. I am doubtful we will get some brother to say they know us. Plus girls said it was shitty wine, and that's all that was said in my memory. So we head back outside, and we ask the boys if they want to come back to the place with us to hang out. They agree, and we walk back with them and yap. Once again, she is walking back with the same guy she spent like 40 mins talking to. So we make it back, go upstairs, and then me and 3 of the guys go downstairs to use some of the recreational stuff they have and leave her and the guy she's been with half the night alone upstairs. I try to be a wing woman, so I was hoping she'd be happy with her alone time. TLDR, they made out. So they were up there for however long, to the point where the guys with me wanted to get something to eat and go home. So I went upstairs, got my pass, and went out with them to kill time since I was basically fully alone. We went out, did whatever, and ended up going back to the place with 2 of the guys since the one I liked wanted to go to bed, and the others, God bless them, didn't want me to be alone. Now she's mad BC. Apparently I didn't let her talk to the frat guy she wanted and let her make out with a guy in her room. You have free will, BTW girl. Like, mad to the point where she's being short with me? Like, how was I supposed to know you wanted that random frat boy from a diff college so bad? AITA, 12. AITA for not wanting to go to my own birthday party. Hi. Next week, F turned 23 years old. On the day of my birthday, my boyfriend wanted to surprise me by planning a party. I would come home and all my friends would be there, waiting for me. My BF doesn't have the phone numbers of many of my friends, and since I am in a friend group with my brother, let's call him Eric, he asked Eric if he could send him the numbers he needed, plus if Eric wanted to come. This was 2 weeks ago. Eric never responded. Only a few days ago, after my boyfriend ruined the surprise for me by asking me if I could urge Eric to respond ASAP, he texted back. Eric said, IDK, I'll see on the day of if I want to come. He didn't send the numbers of my friends like requested. Now, I had to text my friends by myself. It's only a few days before my birthday, and most of them can't make it anymore. But also, some of them said, I'm not coming to this party. I'm coming to your party next week. What party? Basically, Eric also planned a surprise party for me and invited all our mutual friends. This was after he was informed about the surprise party that my boyfriend was already planning. He never informed my boyfriend. The best part? It's on a day I probably can't even make it myself. I have something else planned in the morning. Eric never even asked me if I had time that day. Oh, and we're going hiking, something I'm neutral about, but Eric loves. So the party Eric planned is an activity he wants to do on a day I can't even come. And now none of my friends are coming to my actual surprise party on my actual birthday, because everyone is confused and only informed about Eric's plan. I told Eric I'm not showing up for my hiking party. It doesn't feel like he's doing it for me, it feels like he's doing it for himself. He's mad and says I should be thankful. He's planning a surprise party after all. AITA, 13, AITA for calling my cousin out on his life choices. Note, none of the names used here are the real names of the people involved. I, 25F, have a cousin named Marcus, 29M, who I was genuinely close to growing up. He and I grew up in the same household where my parents treated him like their own. And I, being an only child, saw him as an older brother figure who I wanted to live up to. Fast forward to January 2026. I met a guy, let's call him Xander. From what I know of him since I started getting to know Xander, he's been a kind, sweet, and attentive guy who genuinely knows how to make me laugh. The only obstacle here is that Xander's been going through some problems in his personal life that's forced him to take 2 jobs. I do not have any problems with him doing so, and I offered to help him too, but he politely turned down since he didn't want to burden me and didn't want to involve me in financial issues early on in the relationship. He only asked me to be patient with him, and to give him some understanding if he'd sometimes like to take weekends off to rest and recharge since he works from morning to midnight every other workday. Last Sunday, I met with my cousin Marcus to catch up. He asked about Xander, and I told him that he and I are doing good, but I didn't give Marcus the details of Xander's situation because that's his own personal business. Marcus kept pressing though, ridiculing how Xander didn't seem romantic enough since he doesn't see me posting about my dates with the guy. Then he said something along the lines of, you should really just start a roster. If the one guy fucks up, then it's on to the next one. Then you find another just to keep the ball rolling. He originally said this in Filipino, which sounded way harsher in my opinion since that was our native tongue. I was surprised by the way he said it. I don't judge people who have that sort of style when it comes to dating, but it really isn't my style. I laughed it off and told Marcus that's not how I do things, but he seemed to take offense at that by calling me a prude, then proceeded to give me a backhanded compliment about how some people can have 2 degrees, but are just that stupid. That was where I drew the line and told him, I've never judged you for living our life the way you do. I don't tell you that it's wrong or right that you live that way, so don't judge me for wanting to stick to one person. He raised his voice at me in the middle of the restaurant and told me I'm just an idiot who doesn't know any better for myself and that I don't see my worth as a woman. I told him that he doesn't know me and that he shouldn't get mad at me just for not seeing dating the way he does. He and I left the restaurant with me paying even for his meal, and we haven't spoken since. 14, AITA for blocking the entryway of our driveway. I, 32, am living at my parents' house with my 3 children. I help pay utilities and buy food and other necessities for the house when my parents are in the States. Just a little backstory, my parents are about 68, 69 years old, retired, and my father built a few homes in Mexico to live his retirement. He also has a duplex here in the States, which he just finished paying off last year in September. I live in the lower unit, my oldest brother lives in the basement, which my dad built it to be an extra apartment, and my middle brother lives upstairs. The problem is, my middle brother, 42, is only paying $700 of rent when it should be more. My dad has given him a chance to get his life together for years, but I don't see any of that happening. The upper unit has 3 bedrooms, bathroom, living room, and dining room, plus parking spots in our driveway, and they use our internet and give nothing for the bill. My dad also has told him before he moved in he did not want any pets in the house. My brother brought in a dog, and he doesn't clean up after him outside. My daughters at times step on his shit and gotta come back inside to change shoes. His ex-wife was recently in the hospital and could no longer take care of the kids, all from 15 to 22 OH and a cat. My brother has at least 8 kids, 3 baby mamas, but 2 of his daughters moved in about a year ago and got pregnant at the same time. 22-year-old moved away with her BF. 19-year-old is living upstairs. Recently, his 16 and 15-year-old moved with him upstairs. They don't help with rent, and my brother is struggling, I could see. But he's been struggling for years. My dad has given him chances. My parents decided to leave the States and left us in charge. He had a serious conversation with all my siblings about not giving my mother any worries, and has told my brothers and I that we only park our vehicles in the driveway if we had visitors. They park in the street. Well, my parents left the States. Not even a week later, my brother has cars parking overnight on our driveway, bringing random women in, letting them work their vehicles back there. My 19-year-old niece's boyfriend's car is parked there as we speak. My oldest brother and I just look outside and just look at each other. We're just tired of him not following my dad's rules. Last night, I was doing some laundry, and someone just opened the back door. I yelled my nephew's names as thought it was them. No one answered, and they just walked slowly upstairs, totally ignoring me. I thought, maybe they didn't hear me. Turns out it was one of the random women my brother brings home. I'm pretty pissed off how he brings random people and I have children in the house, let alone he has his boys, daughter, and granddaughter there. What an example he's giving them. So today, I decided to park my car in the driveway entrance. I blocked my niece's and brother's phone number and locked the doors of our unit. I know I will get a call or pound in the door to move my car in the morning, but honestly, IDC. They need to learn to respect my parents' home. AITA, 15. AITA for wanting my boyfriend to attend my graduation instead of his brother's. Edit. Added context that we've been together for 5 years. Also adding this up here for more context. Both went to the same undergrad and graduated at the same time. So technically, yes, we both went to each other's, but also spent some time apart with each other's relative family, other friends, etc. as well, if that makes sense, Lael, since it was a big day for both of us. I, 24F, live with my boyfriend of 5 years, 25M, and I'm about to graduate with my master's degree in May. The problem is that his younger brother, 21M, is graduating from his undergrad on the exact same day, just in a different state. For some background, my boyfriend missed his older brother's graduation a few years ago because of a sports conflict, so there's some history there. When my boyfriend's mom first realized that my graduation and his brother's might overlap, she actually told my boyfriend a while ago that he should come to mine. My parents are flying in for my graduation, and they are the only guests I would have coming. At his brother's graduation, it would be their parents, his brother's friends, their other brother, grandparents, and his brother's girlfriend. For extra context, I moved to this city for grad school because my boyfriend relocated here for his job after college, and we're far from both of our families and friends. I've been here doing 2 years of school beyond my undergrad, and made this choice mainly because of us, our relationship. Here's where it gets complicated. He had already decided to come to mine. But now his brothers have called him, subtly asking, pressuring him to come to his younger brother's graduation instead. So, AITA for wanting him to stick with his original decision. 16. AITA for telling my boyfriend he gave me the ick. I, 25F, have been with my boyfriend, 26M, for almost 3 years now, and we have a pretty solid relationship for the most part. Well, after about a year of dating, my lease was ending, so he suggested I move in with him since we were planning on it anyways, so I did. They say something along the lines of you don't know someone until you live with them. Well, no joke. I started noticing he has really bad daily habits, like leaving dirty tissues on the counter when we have a trash can right there, throwing dirty clothes anywhere. He would leave an empty pitcher in the fridge for me to fill up always. He was overall kind of lazy TBH comfort level fam. I know there are trials and tribulations in a relationship, and I love him, so I sat him down and said, we need to make some changes respectfully. I offered to help pick up more slack, like his laundry and dishes, under one condition. Everything is rinsed off and put where it goes, and I'll handle it. I only pay a couple bills and put groceries in the house so I can handle some housework if it meant our living space was more cleaned up. He couldn't even do that longer than a week or two. I snapped a bit and told him he wants to live like this fine, but I can't. That seemed to wake him up a bit because for the next 2 weeks, he was actually doing what I asked. He apologized and we kept it pushing. Fast forward to this past Thanksgiving and he wants me to finally meet his family, his mom, dad, and little brother. I'm excited because I've never met them as they live in a different state than us. So we make the journey a couple days before Thanksgiving, and I meet his family. They're great, super welcoming individuals. I started noticing his bad habits here at his parents' house, and I quietly asked him not to be messy here, it's not our house. Y'all, this man proceeds to leave messes everywhere. And he said, and I quote, "My mom will take care of it." I've never been so appalled at a grown man before. Respectfully, part of me thought it was his enabling mother's fault at first, but then she got on his case for leaving messes, and I was like, okay. IDK. It was super cringe, but I let it go, cause he got it together after his mom said something to him. Couple days later on Thanksgiving Day, we went out for coffee in the morning, as it was tradition for his family. Then we go back and cook and get ready for dinner, so that's what we did. Cooking was fun. I helped his mom with all kinds of dishes. Here's where the ick comes from and why I told him this. When it was time to eat, we said grace and started eating. My boyfriend inhaled his food like I'm talking about shoveling it in his mouth so fast I couldn't believe it. He's not overweight, but he's not fit either. I didn't want to put him on the spot, so I just kept eating and conversing with everyone. He got up for seconds and thirds, still ate the same way like he never saw food before. I guess he missed his mama's cooking, which I understand, but it was so insanely fast, and I got secondhand embarrassment from it, NGL. Well, we finished dinner and clean up. We retired to the room to sleep, and as we're getting ready to lay down, I asked if we could talk. I opened up and said how I didn't like that he was a grown man and expected other people to clean up after him, and what was he doing living on his own before me. He shrugged and said, I'd pay someone to do housework before you came over every time, so he'd basically be living in filth until we had plans. I low-key lost my mind and I said, so you were paying someone to do housework until I moved in? I told him should have kept them around instead of expecting me to get tired enough to end up doing it myself. I work too, BTW. He said, why when you're here? Y'all, I told him between the way he ate tonight and seeing him at his parents' house honestly gave me the ick, and I can't look at him right now. He said I was an AH for attacking him in that way, but I don't think I am TBH. So, AITA for saying that to him after everything I've been putting up with for a year and a half and on Thanksgiving. I also asked him to hire a housekeeper back because I was working double hours and offered to cover half since I didn't have the time to clean. It's been a few months, but he's convinced that I was still too harsh. Was I? 17. AITA for telling my girlfriend that she is not understanding my situation. Hello, me, 29M, and my girlfriend, 29F, have been together for 7 years. We live in different cities. We both are doctors, and my girlfriend was preparing for a post-graduation entrance exam. I was also preparing for the same exam, but I suffered from a drug-induced psychosis, so I was undergoing treatment for the same. I was on antipsychotics, antidepressants, and benzodiazepines. After about 5 months of treatment, my condition improved and I was doing well. But during this time, my mother went through a major abdominal surgery for hernia, which developed complications. For almost 4 months, day in and day out, I was with my mother in the hospital. She was in the ICU for about 2 weeks after her operation. During this time, my girlfriend was preparing for the exam, and I wasn't able to concentrate on my studies due to the psychotic episode, depression, and anxiety, plus I was in hospital with my mother. 2 months before the exam, my girlfriend was feeling overwhelmed, demotivated, and burnt out due to the constant studies for almost 10-12 HRs every day. She texted me and was venting out and telling me about this. But I didn't say much, and I wasn't supportive because I was multiple medications, and my mother was going through a lot, so I was preoccupied with that. She lashed out, got angry, and said that I'm not being supportive or helping her. She also said that I don't love her at all. I apologized for the same, because I also felt that I should be able to support her through her bad times, and I tried to boost her morale. I reminded her of why she started this journey to become a doctor, and how hard she had been working to clear this exam. But after this, she said that it's not the same thing if I do it after being told about the mistake. She said that I should have done it by myself without being told. To which my reply was that you are correct and your feelings are valid, but the reason for not being able to do is not that I don't love you. I told her it is because of the fact that I was recently diagnosed with moderate depression, severe anxiety, went through a psychosis 5 months ago, and my mother's condition being severe. Please try to understand my situation as well. It is not fair that you're expecting me to understand your situation, but you're not even ready to acknowledge or understand what I'm going through. Even after knowing what I'm going through, you still expect me to support you when I'm not even able to handle my own self or the situations I'm going through, but she still didn't accept it, neither acknowledged it, and was still angry. Due to the exam being close, I didn't want her to worry or be upset, so I told her that I'm sorry to make excuses and I'll make sure that it doesn't happen again. I talked with her over video call throughout the night, sorted everything out, and reassured her that I love her and such thing will not happen again. AITA for telling my girlfriend that she is not understanding my situation. 18. AITA, for not allowing my cousin to guilt trip my sister into babysitting for free. I am 33F with a cousin 8 years older than me. She was raised along me and my two siblings, 30M and 25F, by my parent. She got married at 18 and had 3 kids. But her relationship with her husband was terrible, and he would kick her out of their house along with their kids, and she'd stay with us. Eventually, my mom organized an apartment for her, as well as a job. About 2 months later, we found out that she has moved back in with her husband, abandoned the apartment, and quit her job. Her husband insulted my mom for being a bad influence on her. They stopped talking to us and moved to another city. 2 years later, my mom passed away. She didn't attend or send us condolences. Here's the conflict. A few days ago, my cousin called my sister and her and asked her to babysit for her because she needs to go to another city for the weekend to visit her other kid who just started college. But she said she isn't sure if she'll bring the baby. My sister was like, okay. And she called me. I couldn't pick up. Later that day, my cousin shows up with her kid and just says she's sorry she went MIA. A lot has been going on. She has 5 kids and is getting a divorce. My sister calls me to let me know later, and I was beyond upset. I asked her why she agreed. She said because she felt pressured, but she didn't think my cousin would actually come. My brother tells me to let it go and only confront her after the weekend. I couldn't wait. I called her. She argued that we pushed her away because my brother ignored her Facebook messages. My brother doesn't have Facebook. But she also said she talks to my sister sometimes. Blatant lie. I told her I don't appreciate her manipulating my sister, and I told her she's extremely disrespectful, and I will not let her off the hook. It's okay that her baby is with my sister, and my sister is happy to help, but I see the manipulation for what it is, and I will not be having that. She then got upset and said fine, she'll come get her baby right now, and hung up. She called all our relatives and told them her side. She got to our family home and cried hysterically to my dad, a chronic people pleaser with no backbone. He consoled her and condemned me and told her he understands she couldn't come to the funeral cause of COVID. My sister tried talking to her. She dismissed my sister immediately and told her she doesn't want to talk about this anymore. Now my family keeps calling me to tell me I'm wrong, and I should be more understanding, but my aunt, mom's sister, says I'm right to defend my sister and mom's memory. One other family member told me I owe my cousin an apology. Am I wrong here? 19. My BF played a piano in a small cafe, and it made me very uncomfortable. AITA. My BF spends hours every day playing piano. He's very good at it. I love that about him. But today we went to a small cafe and it had a piano. I looked at him and said, please don't play it. And he grinned, sat down, and played for about 15 minutes. After a few minutes, I went and waited near the counter for our food. When I came back, I asked him to stop and eat with me. He said, let me finish this song. I rolled my eyes. The guy sitting 2FT behind him was visibly annoyed. I was extremely uncomfortable. My BF got pissed at me afterwards for shitting on his passion. I told him it was self-centered thing to do. Just BC there's a piano and you're good at it doesn't mean everyone in the room should be forced to listen to you play. For the record, I play piano too. We share the passion and support each other. I'd support him playing in a more open space, just not such a small cafe. He admitted to being a slightly self-centered person and said that if they didn't like it, they could leave the cafe or ask him to stop playing. I told him no one's going to ask you to stop. He said if it was him being bothered, he would ask the person to stop edit. It wasn't a date, just a quick lunch, and he played soft background music. It was still quite loud, to me at least, since the space was small. 20. AITA for telling him my daughter or I should be doing that? I, Elder F, have a daughter Tay, yeah, F, who is married to L, yeah, M. First off, I don't like L's fashion sense, or rather, the lack of it. He's constantly wearing a gray beanie with his outfits. His nails are painted black. He wears black or gray jeans that often have holes in them, band t-shirts or pink jerseys. Anyways, they have a daughter, May, infant F. I found out that my daughter had been diagnosed with cancer, so I arrived with my suitcase, ready to move in and help with caring for May while my daughter recovers. Only for Elle to block my entry and tell me that I was overstepping. Nonsense. Whoever heard of a man cooking, cleaning, doing childcare? Apparently, Elle does all of those things, which makes me question how much his father was in his life. After dinner, Tay got sick from her treatments. While I was tending to her, May had a blowout. I told her father to just pacify her with a toy, and I'd get to her as soon as I gave Tay her tea. He raised an eyebrow at me, shook his head, and retreated upstairs with my granddaughter. I naturally followed him, but when I got there, he was changing her diaper as if it was the most natural thing in the world. I yelled for my daughter to call the police, but she did nothing. He then took my precious granddaughter into the bathroom and began bathing her. I was screaming, yelling at him that my daughter or myself should be doing that. She's a little girl, doesn't he feel awkward? He just responded in that cutesy tone you hear people using on babies. Daddy think Granny's got a bit of trauma. Yes, I do. I think Granny thinks bad thoughts about Daddy because somebody wasn't so nice when she was little. But you know Daddy's safe. Yes, you do. Who's the safest baby? At this point, my daughter appeared in the hallway behind me and said, "Your suitcase is where it belongs, Mom. It's time you left." I reiterated that she needed my help, and it was inappropriate for a man to do more than hold a baby or maybe feed them a bottle. Diaper changes and baths, especially for a baby girl, should be done by women. And Tay repeated, "Your suitcase is outside. Go get it before someone steals it. Elle, you'll make sure the door's locked? I'm not feeling well, so I was gonna go to bed." Her husband nodded, saying, "I'll lock up and get May to bed and make sure our unexpected guest has safe transportation home." I threw my hands in the air, asking how long he'd been brainwashing my daughter. Tay just waved her hand dismissively and went into her room. I looked to Lou and stated I was taking my granddaughter home with me. He locked me out of the nursery while I assume he did unmentionable things, but I heard no cries, no whimpers, no fussing. He left the nursery, refusing to let me in, and physically carried me downstairs and lead me straight to the front door. He blocked me from getting back to my granddaughter while he called me a taxi. He then locked me out of the house and refused to let me back in. He muttered something about a full moon under his breath while he loaded my suitcase into the cab against my will. He took a photo of the cab's license plate. He then said, "Call me when you're home safe," as the driver pulled away. Afterwards, my daughter texted me to call next time instead of inviting myself and falsely accusing her husband of unspeakable acts like some entitled paranoid llama. AITL for trying to help my daughter while she's sick? Am I wrong that women are better suited to childcare? Mods used, healthcare redux, RPO, grandma has woohoo related trauma. 21. AITA for calling my mom names after she wants me to miss my father's funeral? Okay, so I, 17, am pretty grief-stricken right now. I just lost my father. He was going through a long battle and sadly lost it. My father was never really fully in my life, but over the last 2 years we got close. I live with my mom, stepdad, and my sister Rosie, 15. The funeral is in 8 days and is being held by my grandma in Canada, where my dad was living for the last 4 months. I live about 2 hours away from Canada. Anyways, when my mom got the call, she called me into the kitchen and told me, and I was obviously heartbroken. My mom wasn't too bothered and told me to calm down and stop acting hysterical. I was grieving for a few days, but I was trying to keep it together for the funeral, knowing being close to him and my grandma would help. Until I asked my mom when we'd be making the drive down to Canada, she turned to me and laughed. Physically laughed and said, "Why would we be going to Canada?" I looked at her confused and said for my dad's funeral, and she said that, "Oh, honey, we are going to have to give that one a miss." Like it was a basketball game, not my father's funeral. She said Rosie and my stepdad would be uncomfortable and bored. And when I offered to go alone and meet my grandma at the train station, she snapped at me and said, "No, we weren't even close anyways." Not true. We built a relationship over 2 years. Last night at dinner was the final straw. Rosie was talking about some horse riding competition going on the weekend of my dad's funeral, and my mom wanted us all to go. This is the part where I may be the AH. I called my mom a toxic bitch and said that I'd be going to my dad's funeral no matter what. I've been staying with my boyfriend, 18, for 2 days now, and we're planning to make the train ride down to Canada early to spend time with my grandma. My mom keeps on texting me and sending me voicemails crying, asking to talk. So, AITA, update. Hi, there are about 200 comments asking for info, and they are all pretty much asking the same thing, so I'm gonna try and answer everything here. I live in Niagara Falls, NY, which is right next to the Canadian border, but it takes about 2 hours to drive to my grandma's town. Me and my boyfriend have calmed down, and I've looked into it. I would need proper documentation and parental permission to cross the border. I'm not sure what to do at the moment, but for now, I'm just cooling off at my boyfriend's. I'll probably be forced to come home by my mom at some point, as I'm still a minor, but she's stopped calling. I will talk to her, either tomorrow or the day after, to try and sort things out. If I can't, I've already called my grandma, and she's agreed to come down if she has to. This is all the information I have ATM. For the people asking about my dad, him and my mom never had a great relationship, and split up soon after I turned 2. My mom cheated on him and left him. Yes, for some reason he wasn't there for a long time, and I resented him a while for it. But he came back and he tried and he fought for me even when he was struggling. 22. AITA for not letting my bio dad be a part of my children's lives. I, 30F, used to be a daddy's girl from birth until my parents divorced when I was 7. I was the tomboy daughter he always wanted, so I was the chosen child out of all of my siblings. In his late teens and early 20s, he had 2 boys with his high school sweetheart. When they were 1 and 2, he went to jail for 2 wires for auto theft, and his GF became addicted to drugs and alcohol and ended up losing custody of the boys. They were adopted out to a very lovely couple that couldn't have children. I didn't find this out until I was a teen. When he was released, his buddy that went to jail with him ended up introducing him to his sister. They started dating and had a daughter. When she was about 2 hours old, he went to jail again for auto theft again for a year. His GF had broken up with him when he was convicted because he had also been cheating, and that was her last straw. After he was released into a halfway house, he met my grandmother, who was one of the counselors. She introduced him to my mom, and they fell in love instantly. When she found out he had a daughter, she did everything in her power to make amends with her mom and my dad. My sister started coming for visits regularly, and our mothers became best friends. After almost a year, my parents got married and had me when my sister was 5.5 years old. She was the best big sister, and still is. My parents started fighting a lot after they had me because my father was always out cheating on her and was caught by my mom's brother, my uncle, multiple times, and he even got a ticket and suspended from work because he picked up a hooker downtown Columbus, OH. He also gave my mother HPV at one point. Then he was ousted for having a son with another woman. While married to my mother when I was about 5.5 years old. They almost divorced then, but a year later they ended up getting custody of him because his mother left him abandoned in a boarded-up apartment for a week with no food or anything. He definitely had an abused, timid personality. He started calling my mom, and she fell in love with him and treated him as her own, but still had beef with my dad. This went on for about a year and a half. Then they divorced. I was roughly 7 years old. As a child, he was there one day fighting with my mom, and the next, he was just gone. I didn't see him again until I was 10. It was because he had a new GF and wanted to show off at how good of a father he was. This is how it typically went. He would fall of the grid U till he had a new GF to have to show off too. At 12, my mother began a relationship with my stepfather, a very nice man and an even better father figure. At 16, my father came around again. You guessed it, a new GF. He gave me a car since I had my license. He insured me, but I didn't come around because my older sister told me all about her and how she tried to beat up her aunt at one point for trying to help mow the GF's own mother's lawn years ago. LOL. Crazy. I stared clear, because at this point, he was hardly in my life, and I had better things to do than prove that he was a good dad. All I really wanted to do was drop him off the grid on my own. He blamed my mom for me not coming around and held the car over my head. That deterred me from visiting even more. At 18, I graduated early, and he wanted me to come visit so he could sign the car over to me. I did. It did not go well. He was pleasant at first, then less than 30 minutes of being there, he asked if I had spoken to my sister at all because she never brings her kids to see him anymore. They lived 2 RRs away at the time, and she was a single mother and barely had time for herself. She did bring them to visit, but not as often, saying the rod works in both directions and didn't see him making an effort, just like when we were kids. When I reiterated this to him without a care, my sister said she wouldn't be mad because she'd already told him this. He got very mad, like red-faced mad, and started calling her a lazy fat chint and saying her kids were stupid. I flew out of my spot on the couch and got in his face and slapped him. Yes, you read that right. I pointed my finger at him, very much frozen in shock, and said, "Don't you ever talk about my sister, your own daughter, like that ever again. And don't you ever say that about her children. They are both highly intelligent and loving children. You are the stupid one here." I went to walk out the door because he had already signed over the vehicle to me. He said, "Where are you going and with that car?" I said, "I am only going to say this one time, so you better listen closely." I waved the signed title. "The vehicle is no longer your concern, and neither am I. If you could say something like that about my sister, I can only imagine what you say about me. No parent should ever talk about any child, let alone their own, like that. You are a disgusting and self person, and this is the last time you will ever see me." I have not spoken to him since. My sister and I became close during this time with our brothers that were adopted out. We went to the oldest's wedding. I was 29 and had both of my children, and got to meet their family and parents. It was a very nice time, and they were all very welcoming. It didn't last long, because Bio Dad walked through the door. The oldest brother invited him, gave him my phone number, and told him I would be there, and he sat us at the same table. WTAF. Apparently, he felt that we needed to make amends. No one but my father knew why I ghosted him. I didn't want to start any drama and hurt my sister since she was still trying to have some kind of relationship with him. He kept saying how he became friends with my mom on Facebook and that he was so proud of the mom I had became and how much my kids looked like me. My son is his father, literally twin, eye roll for trying, I guess. I stated this out loud also, and that kind of hushed the table. We barely spoke after that. He tried, C for effort, but I just couldn't even look him in the eye. I don't look at him as my dad. That is my stepdad's role now, because my father gave up that role a while ago. Ever since the wedding, he continues to blow up my phone with texts and calls, which I don't answer. I did answer the one time while I was at work. I am a medical assistant in a very busy office, and my watch is connected to my phone, so it was interrupting me taking vitals as I use my watch for calculating heart rates and respirations of my patients. I didn't even say hello. I never added his number in my phone, but I knew the 6114 area code was his. I said, "Quit trying to reach me. I am at work and I have a very important and busy job. I don't have time for your games and nagging. I am not interested in anything you have to say." I hung up before he had a chance to say anything. I blocked him immediately. That was almost a year ago. My oldest brother nags me about talking to our father again. My sister says he's going through some midlife crisis, and her mom, she is like my second mama, tells me that he is my dad and that I should try to make amends. My mother says it is completely my decision and that she will support me either way. To this day, I feel nothing for him. I really hate to say this like this, but if something happened to him, I probably wouldn't even flinch or feel a thing. When I think of him now, I just want to roll my eyes. I don't want to put my children through what I went through. Having him in and out of their lives when it is convenient for him and not beneficial for our relationship. He did it to all of us kids and continues to do it with my sister's children. AITA for disowning him and not wanting him in mine or my children's lives. 24. AITA for being angry with my father for not being truthful about his relationship status. This requires a bit of context, so I'll try my best to be brief. My parents got divorced when I was 2, but pretended to still be married until I was 9. We went on family vacations, they stayed in the same bed, everything. They put on the performance test of a lifetime. To put it plainly, I was only finally granted the truth because my dad was, in fact, getting remarried a month later. So in one day, I found out not only that my life up until that point had been a lie, but that I was about to get a stepmom I'd never met. From that point on, I developed major trust issues, to say the least. Certainly doesn't help that said stepmom was not a nice person, to say the least, and I was very glad that marriage ended a few years later. After that fiasco of a marriage, my dad was very vocal about wanting to stay single, and my mom seemed closed off too, though later she told me while drunk that she had been dating without telling me. So yet again, got abruptly blindsided by someone I trusted. Now, to the issue. My dad claims he's not looking for anything, but his actions say something else entirely. A few years ago, there was a woman, or as I'll call her, Janice. I saw all the signs, they shared bed, her things at his house, etc. Yet he denied everything and said they were just friends. This went on for months until she stopped coming around. My problem isn't that he dates, but that he lies. I've told both my parents that honesty matters to me because of how they went about things when I was younger, and that it's not just some holier-than-thou thing, but a value I live by. Now there's his new woman. Let's call her Kathy. Same pattern. I noticed texts, calls, and a very clear emotional closeness. At one point, I saw him go out of his way to text her kid congratulations, something he hasn't told me in years. Lovely. She shows up at his house when he's not even there, stays for days at a time, and mentions him visiting her out of state, where she lives. Every time I ask, he insists they're just friends. But they share a bed, she stays for long stretches, and she's bought him countless of gifts. I've had countless awkward one-on-one interactions with her because I don't know how I'm supposed to treat her, like a potential stepmom or just as his friend. The final straw was Christmas of last year. My dad gave me a custom necklace with our family business logo, until I found out that not only had Kathy commissioned it, but that she also had a matching one. That felt incredibly weird and personal for someone who's supposedly just a friend. I've confronted him multiple times, in anger, in tears, explaining that I don't need details, just the truth. But he continues to deny everything despite what's obviously happening. At this point, I feel like I'm constantly stuck between believing my dad and believing what I can clearly see, and it's so tiring. So, is it wrong for me to just want a sliver of honesty? What would you do in my situation? 25. AITA for putting my foot down with my family. AITA for setting these boundaries with my family. So I'm 22, a full-time bartender, work 6-7 days a week at 3 different bar jobs, and am a full-time student in an accelerated online degree program. Both brothers never went through with college and had children at a younger age, early mid-20s, and live in town. My brothers nor my parents come to visit me at work, although I've told them multiple times how grateful I would be. They're not big drinkers, but at the bar I work at, there's plenty of other options like soda, food, etc. My parents and siblings call me absent a lot to most things, family dinners, specifically on Fridays, but I show up for holidays, birthdays, etc. I'm on a different track than my brothers with having kids. I'm not settling down with someone anytime soon, specifically with kids, although I do have a partner. And it feels as though it's a pressure almost with my parents that I'm not doing that. I get called absent, my name, and that I'm never around and that I don't care even though I do. I also struggle with heavy depression, so when I do have time for myself, I simply just want to spend it alone or just have time for a second to breathe. I asked my brothers to hang out with me on my birthday and found out my dad had to bribe them to hang out with me, actual cash. And today, I wanted them to come visit me, but both calls went to voicemail. I'm debating telling my family the same thing I typed out. I work a lot. I understand, but my life track is different. I feel obviously bad that I cannot spend as much time with them as I'd like, but my hours are completely different from theirs. I'm at a wit's end. I don't know what to do. I love my family, but they have all had a very different path from me thus far. A little advice would go a long way. Thank you. Edit. I texted them that I was upset with them and I'm going to stop putting effort in if they aren't as well. Thank you guys for all your suggestions. It's refreshing to see I'm not alone on this. 26. AITA for not wanting to share my room with my mom after her and dad fought. This is gonna be long. But okay, summarized by DeepSeek Part 1, I-20F, live with my parents, 60M59F, yes, distant cousins, I know, and sister, 25F, in an Arab household. My parents have always had a terrible marriage. Dad cheated, was never emotionally present, still stays out till 4 a.m. Both were extremely physically, verbally, emotionally abusive to me and my siblings from ages 5 to 14. We just don't talk about it because that's normal in Arab households, whatever. Last year, on my 19th birthday, my mom did some harmless poll with family, 30 people over. My dad started screaming like someone was dying, yelling that she was disrespecting him by taking money from other men. My uncles tried to calm him. Nothing. Everyone was shocked. I was shaking from PTSD. He went to the balcony for a smoke, then left for the night. Mom said she wouldn't sleep next to him until he apologized. It's been a year. He never apologized. They now eat breakfast together but still don't share a bed. Instead, she sleeps in my room. I haven't slept properly in a year. She snores like a chainsaw. Gets up at 3 a.m., 5 a.m., prays loudly, even though it's supposed to be silent. 7 a.m., alarm for what? 9 a.m., leaves bathroom door wide open while pissing, turns on every light, demands I close, open windows, put blankets on her, put my phone away. I wake up every time. I've tried earplugs, melatonin, white noise, pillows over my head. Nothing works. I gave myself ear damage for nothing. I asked my sister to switch rooms. No, I need my closet and my workspace. I asked mom to sleep in sister's room. No. What if I need help in the night? She can't even be left home alone for 30 minutes. I've had to skip the gym, skip hanging out with my boyfriend, my only friend, skip uni attendance because of her. Recently, I started giving up and sleeping on the living room couch. It's dark, silent, and I actually sleep. But I'm still exhausted, still care for her all day, still check on her at night. Mom says I'm abandoning her. Sister says I'm dramatic. Dad doesn't care. There's so much more to this story, but character limit and hand cramps exist. AITA for sleeping on the couch instead of next to her. Edit. Forgot to say that she claims the reason she's against me sleeping outside. She literally yells at me for this and has threatened me with abuse multiple times. Is because she feels bad for me because she knows about my back pain and that she thinks the couch is uncomfortable. Like, pals, it's more comfortable than my room now that you're in it? LOL.